Morning everyone. This is my third video and today we shall discuss about reforms to solve agricultural problems in India. We have learned in previous video that during the colonial rule there was neither growth nor equity in the agricultural sector. Therefore, the policy makers of independent India had to address these issues, which they did through land reforms and promoting the use of HYV seeds, which ushered in revolution in Indian agriculture. These are called agrarian reforms or reforms in Indian agriculture. To students, today we shall discuss what was reforms in agriculture sectors. There are most three important reforms in agriculture sector, but we shall discuss about one by one. First reform is institutional reforms or land reforms. Under these reforms, first point is abolition of intermediaries. At the time of independence, the land tenure system was characterized by intermediaries, variously called Jamidar, Jagidar, etc., who merely collected rent from the actual tillers of the soil without contributing towards improvement on the farm. The low productivity of the agricultural sector forced India to import food from the United States of America and other countries. Equity in agriculture called for land reforms, which primarily refers to change in the ownership of land holdings. Just a year after independence, steps were taken to abolish intermediaries and to make the tillers the owners of land. The idea behind this move was that ownership of land would give incentive to the tillers to invest in making improvements provided sufficient capital was made available to them. Problems in land reforms. The abolition of intermediaries meant that some 200 lakh tenants came into direct contact with the government. They were thus freed from being exploited by the jamidars. However, the goal of equity was not fully served by abolition of intermediaries. In some areas, the former jamidars continued to own large areas of land by making use of some loopholes in the legislation. There were cases where tenants were evicted and the landowners claimed to be self cultivation, claiming ownership of the land. Even when the tillers got ownership of land, the poorest of the agricultural laborers did not benefit from land reforms. So, dear students, intermediates are different names in different states. Just you have know about jamidar, jagidars. These person exploited the poor farmers. So the second point is land ceiling. It was another policy towards land reforms to promote equity in agricultural sector. This means fixing the maximum size of land which could be owned by an individual, and beyond that limit the land would be taken over by the government and would be allotted to the landless cultivators and small farmers. The purpose of land ceiling was to reduce the concentration of land ownership in a few hands. Land ceiling means a maximum limit of land. Government has taken decision what maximum limit should be a general citizen of India. So some problems create by land ceiling. The problems in land ceiling is the land ceiling legislation was also faced hurdles. The big landlords challenged the legislation in the court, delaying the implementation. They used this delay to register their lands in the name of close relatives, thereby escaping from the legislation. The legislation also had a lot of loopholes which were exploited by the big landholders to retain their land. And next point, regulation of rent. Rents were fixed in order to avoid illegal extortions from the cultivators. The regulation was that this should not exceed 33% of the market value of the crop. Next point, consideration of land holdings. It was done to solve the problem of fragmentation and subdivision of land holdings. It helped the farmers to have land holdings at one place so that the farming could be facilitated economically and one place rather than on a scattered piece of land. And next point is cooperative farming. Cooperative farming means सहकारी मिलजुल कर खेती करना. It improves the bargaining power of the small landholders and encourages competitive market structure. It helps them to work in cooperation and enjoy the benefits of consolidation of land holdings. In brief, we can say land reforms were successful in Kerala and West Bengal because these states had governments committed to the policy of land to the tiller. Unfortunately, other states did not have the same level of commitment, and vast inequality in land holdings continues to this day. Next reform is technical reforms. The Green Revolution. At independence, about 75% of the country's population was dependent on agriculture. Productivity in agriculture sector was very low because of the use of old technology and the absence of required infrastructure for the vast majority of farmers. India's agriculture vitally dependent on the monsoon and if the monsoon fell short, the farmers were in the trouble unless they had access to irrigation facilities, which very few of them had. The stagnation in agriculture during the colonial rule was permanently broken by the Green Revolution. Some feature of Green Revolution. Green Revolution refers to large increase in production of food grains resulting from the use of high yielding variety seeds, especially for wheat and rice. The use of these seeds required the use of fertilizers and pesticides in the correct quantities as well as a regular supply of water. The application of these inputs in correct proportions is vital. The farmers who could benefit from HYV seeds required reliable irrigation facilities as well as financial resources to purchase fertilizers and pesticides. As a result, in the first phase of the Green Revolution, approximately in mid 1960 up to 1970, the use of HYB seeds was restricted to the more affluent states such as Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Further, the use of HYB seeds primarily benefited the wheat growing regions only. Dear student, आप जानते हो कि ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन का जनक हु वाज द फादर ऑफ वर्ल्ड ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन. नॉर्मल बोरलॉग is the father of world green revolution. He belongs to Mexico country. In India, Swaminathan, Dr. Swaminathan is the father of Indian green revolution. In the second phase of the green revolution, mid 1970 to mid 1980s, the HYB technological spread to large number of states and benefited from more variety of crops. The spread of green revolution technological enabled India to achieve self-sufficiency in food grains. We no longer had to be at the mercy of America or any other nation for meeting our nation food requirements. Now we shall discuss about achievement of green revolution. First point is commercialization of agriculture. Agriculture became both subsistence farming and commercial farming. Green revolution resulted in marketable surplus. Marketable surplus refers to that part of agriculture produce which is sold in the market by the farmers after fulfilling their own consumption requirements. A good proportion of the rice and wheat produced during the Green Revolution period. As a result, the price of food grains declined relative to the other items of consumption. The low income groups who spent a large percentage of their income on food benefited from this decline in relative prices. The Green Revolution enabled the government to procure sufficient amount of food grains to build a stock which could be used in the times of food shortage. The second point is increase in production. The Green Revolution resulted in multiple rise in food production. It helped in recovering the country from regular food shortage in the pre-revolution period. Third is increase in productivity. The use of high yielding variety seeds brought manifold increase in the production of land in respect of food grains. The rate at which production increased was continuously rising. Next point is increase in employment. Green Revolution help in the generating opportunities of employment. It led to effective use of labor and absorption of excess labor force in agriculture. Next is increase in income. The adoption of Green Revolution increased the income of farmers. Initially, benefits of increase in income were enjoyed by farmers of few states like Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. But later on, the benefit spread to large number of states. Next, self-sufficiency. The spread of Green Revolution technological enabled India to achieve self-efficiency in food grains. India no more was dependent on foreign countries in this regard. And next, industrial development. As a result of Green Revolution, many industries producing chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, machineries, etc. were established. Therefore, there was a positive impact of Green Revolution on the industrial development. स्टूडेंट्स, ये सारी उपलब्धियां ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन की रही. ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन भारत के कृषि क्षेत्र का एक क्रांतिकारी परिवर्तन था. बिफोर ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन, इंडिया डिपेंड on the foreign country for food grains, while India is agro-based country. This is very difficult situation for our country. So green revolution is very important revolution in Indian agriculture sector. But now we discuss shortcoming of green revolution. While the nation of and immensely benefited from the green revolution, the technological involved was not free from risk. First point is increase in the dispersions between small and big farmers. One such risk was the possibility that it would increase the disparities between small and big farmers, since only the big farmers could afford the required inputs, thereby reaping most of the benefits of the Green Revolution. Moreover, the HYB crops were also more prone to attack by pests, and the small farmers who adopted this technology could lose everything in a pest attack. Second is limited crops. The effect of Green Revolution confined to limited crops like wheat, rice, bajra, maize, etc. It has limited effect on commercial crops like tea, rubber, jute, etc. Next point, regional imbalance. effect of green revolution has been only in Punjab, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, and Andhra Pradesh. Thus, there were regional inequalities. Next, inequality in disparities of income. Green Revolution further increased the income inequalities in the village. Due to Green Revolution, the rich farmers earned more revenues as compared to poor farmers because of lack of funds with them. Next, debate over subsidies. It is very important issue for our country. Some economists suggest subsidy is necessary for Indian farmers. Some economists suggest subsidy is not necessary for Indian farmers. So this is a burning problems for our country. So we will see debate over subsidies. Why subsidy should be given? Subsidy refer to ability of inputs at lower price than the market price. Economic justification of subsidies in agriculture is at present a hotly debated question. It is generally agreed that it was necessary to use subsidies to provide an incentive for adoption of the new technology by farmers in general and small farmers in particular. And any new technology will be looked upon as being risky by farmers. Subsidies were therefore needed to encourage farmers to test the new technology. Why subsidies should be given? The government should provide farmers with agriculture subsidies as farming in India needs to be encouraged to adopt new technology. Most of the farmers are very poor and will not be able to afford the cost of new technology if subsidies are not given. Eliminating subsidies will increase the income inequality between rich and poor farmers and violate the ultimate goal of equity. Next, why subsidies should not be given? Some economists believe that once the technology is found profitable and is widely adopted, subsidies should be phased out since their purpose had been served. Further, subsidies are meant to benefit the farmers, but a substantial amount of fertilizers subsidy also benefits the fertilizer industry, and among farmers the subsidy largely benefits the farmers in the more prosperous region. Therefore, it is urged that there is no case for continuing with fertilizer subsidy. It does not benefit the target group and it is a huge burden on the government's finance. Now we discuss the next reforms and last reforms, general reforms in agriculture sector. Other than technical and institutional reforms, there were other reforms also undertaken. Under this reform, first point is credit facilities. Cooperative credit societies and rural development banks have been established to meet the finance requirements of the farmers. Commercial banks also cater to the credit needs of the farmers. National Bank of Agriculture and Rural Development, this is known as NABARD, was established to provide credit facilities to the farmers at the national level in 1982. स्टूडेंट, नाबार्ड एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर में सबसे अधिक ऋण प्रदान करने वाली सबसे बड़ी संस्था है. एंड सेकेंड इज लार्ज फैसिलिटीज. इरिगेशनल फैसिलिटीज हैव बीन प्रोवाइडेड टू फार्मर्स टू सप्लाई द required quantity of water. At present, irrigational facilities cover 43% of land under cultivation as compared to 15% in 1950. Dry farming has been encouraged and in a practice by many farmers. Due to construction of multi-purpose projects and tube-wells, larger areas have been covered. Next point is organized marketing system. There have been regular markets being established in all parts of the country. Government has set up market committees which govern these markets and help farmers to get remunerative price for their produce. Cooperative marketing societies have also been established which help farmers to bargain for their products. Provision of shortage houses has also been made. And next point, minimum support price. It is a price support policy initiated by the government to encourage farmers to increase production. In this policy, government fixes a price higher than the market price, and if farmers are not able to sell their entire production and increased price, government offers to buy the surplus at increased price. Government keep the surplus in its buffer stock and uses it during the time of emergencies like flood, earthquake, famines, etc. Now we discuss critical appraisal of agricultural development 1950 to 1990. The land reform measures and green revolution were the greatest achievement of the Indian economy in enhancing the agricultural production and productivity. During this period, there had been substantial increase in the agricultural productivity. India became self-sufficient in food production. Land reforms resulted in abolition of zamindari system. We had marketable surplus for commercial farming. The proportion of GDP between 1950 and 1990 contributed by agriculture declined significantly, but there was no decline in the population. Developing on it, 65% of the country's population continued to be employed in agriculture. Even in 1990, agricultural output could have grown with much less people working in the sector. It is because industrial and service sector did not absorb the extra people working in agriculture. Many economists call this an important failure of our policies followed during 1950-90. Now we shall discuss some multiple choice question. Which one of the following is not related to institutional reforms? A. Land ceiling. B. Regulation of rent. C. Use of HIV seats. Abolition of intermediaries. And correct answer is use of HIV seats. Second question, who was the father of green revolution in world? A. Vergis Kurian. B. Norman Borlaug. C. C.V. Raman. D. M. Swaminathan. Correct answer is Norman Borlaug. Third question is, which one of the following is not reason for shortcoming of green revolution? A. A. Disparities between small and big farmers. B. Limited crops. C. Regional imbalance. And fourth, self-sufficiency. And correct answer is self-sufficiency. Now for assignment. First question is, who is the father of green revolution in India? Second question, what are HIV seeds? Third question, explain the need and type of land reforms implemented in the agriculture sector. Fourth question, what is green revolution? Why was it implemented and how did it benefit the farmers? Fifth, why subsidies should be given? And sixth, why subsidies should not be given? Thank you.